little did I know that Border Patrol is a thing. I forgot.
You forgot? You thought they just open?
And I had a 5-foot large panda bear buckled back seat of my car.
I forgot about this story.
And if you know me, I love panda bears. It's my favorite animal. If it's buckled, it kind of looks like a person dressed as a panda bear just in the back seat of the car. And so I pulled up and the guy was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Well, what is what?" And I looked back and it was just a panda bear. I was like, "Oh, that's just my bear." He's like, "That's it?" It's like, "That's it, sir."
Would have been like they're hiding drugs back there or something.
I just assumed that I was like smuggling children and stuffing them in bears. That's what I would have went with.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. I'm your host, Rob. Joined with me are my hosts, Lou.
What's up?
And Mike.
What's up, baby?
I feel like you just copied Lou and then, put a
we
little
need
tag on there.
Do I sound like that? I don't know if I sound like that or not. Is that urban
something
twang?
my dad says a lot. What's up, baby?
What's up, baby?
All right, I'll go with word to your mother.
It didn't really sound like you wanted to give word to my mother.
Oh, boy.
Word to your mother-in-law.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
What does word mean? Am I saying something?
That means your mother.
Oh, does it?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say I can just say that. That's easy enough. Go your mother.
Was that an Ice Ice Baby?
Yo, man, let's get out of here. Word to your mother.
There's some song where that's a meme song that has it.
I mean, that was a saying back in like the 80s. Who knows?
So it could be Vanilla Ice.
It's a way to emphasize the truthfulness or sincerity of a statement.
So it's like, I'm my mama, basically.
Oh, yeah. Basically.
Each week we like to start the podcast with an icebreaker. You can write it on any of our socials, or if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, type in the comments. Or if you want to be a true topper, you can join us on Discord and hang out with us and give us icebreaker ideas there. The question this week is, if you had to leave the continent, so you can't go to Canada, United States, Mexico, all that, and you had to move to another country, where would you go and why?
See, this is troublesome because my number one is not in the continental United States.
Hawaii doesn't count.
Is not in the United States, period.
Okay. Well, what is your number one, though?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, do you want me to...
Oh, I see. You're tied into your topic. Okay.
Number one.
Yeah, like, it's a tough one for me. But I'll do this. I'll say a place I've never been that... I'll just limit myself to places I've never been and otherwise answer the question. I would love to go to Italy.
Yeah, I got that. Nice. Master of None. Made me want to move to Italy.
Right? I wanted to move to Italy before that, but it definitely did not help.
It's a good choice. I heard that they are pretty wild, though. I've been hearing some wild comments about Italians. And based off of my grandfather, I think some of them could be true.
If you're Italian, listen to our podcast. Welcome. Let us know. What's the craziest thing you do?
You both personally and as a group.
So for me, I went with non-English speaking country, or that's not their native tongue. And I'm going to have to go Sweden, because I've been doing Duolingo for Sweden, and I still feel like I don't know anything, but mitt namn är Rob, jag talar Sweden lilla. So, I mean, the accent was probably terrible, but it's something I know. I've always been intrigued with, that Scandinavian culture and just the history there, so I would love to go there. If I was my next choice would have been New Zealand, though. Either way, it's quite a long plane trip for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Ooh, I hate long plane trips.
How about you, Lou?
Not that Italy would be short.
For sure. Yeah, so I'm happy that I had a backup because I was definitely going to say Canada, but that would have made me sound dumb. So here we are. I'm going to go for New Zealand.
There we go.
Wait, I'm confused. Why would Canada have made you sound dumb?
Because it's not allowed.
It's not allowed. It's on the continent.
Oh.
He's like, yeah, just go to Windsor.
Just for your healthcare, that kind of vibe. They all seem pretty nice. But yeah, I watched Lord of the Rings and I was like, this is an okay movie, but the setting though.
Okay, hold up. All right. We'll just ignore that.
This is a pretty decent movie, but man, New Zealand's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You also get all your video games early.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're like the furthest up in the time zone. I think they're 17 hours ahead of Eastern. So one thing you can do on Xbox, I don't know if you can do this on PlayStation, but you can set your region to New Zealand, and if a game comes out in New Zealand, even if you're in the US, they'll let you play it,
17.
hours before. I did that with a few games.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, it is a neat trick.
Yeah. Yeah, for US, I was going through US News and it's ranked. I don't know how credible usnews.com is talking about other countries, but it's English speaking, which I don't think I could. I think that's one of my biggest reasons why I don't travel is because sometimes I just don't speak the language, and their quality of life is pretty good.
Yeah, I remember back when the pandemic happened, they basically shut down the whole island, and it was over in like a month or two. It helps when it's just a small island. Would you get into rugby? Would you be a fan of the All Blacks?
That's aggressive.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, so that was another reason why I chose New Zealand, and I completely forgot about it. Yeah, I like rugby. I think New Zealand people are sweet. I think they're like super cool. I can't remember the Kiwis. Is that what they call them?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it sounds derogatory as hell, but I think it's.
It does. That's all. That was a laugh of agreement.
Yeah. I think they're just like a really cool race. I think they're all strong and cool, and I don't know. That's me.
Is a common self-reference used by New Zealanders, so I don't know if we can use that term. I'll have
That's
to
our
bleep it
word.
out.
Only we can use that word.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get canceled.
Okay, we probably got canceled for last episode.
True, Lucian was saying all sorts of off-color things that last week.
Whoa, the same thing as the All Blacks, guys. Slow down.
This podcast makes me happy, man.
That's good.
That's one of the best parts of the week right here.
It is. I was so tired too. Like I was like, man, I do not feel like doing this. Not because I don't think it's gonna be fun, because I'm just exhausted, and I'm already like, yeah, no, this is good. I'm very happy.
Just chugged a Baja Blast, so I'm ready to go. Jacked up a Mountain Dew.
Baby.
Jacked up a Mountain Dew.
So this week's topic is the top 5 places you visited. If you're new to the podcast, basically we just have a topic and we rank them from 1 to 5, or if you have a guest, 1 to 3. So I'm going to start us off, and I'm going to completely butcher this name, but my number 5 is, Ecotermales Fortuna. It is a hot springs resort in San Carlos, Costa Rica.
Ooh.
Very nice.
Yep, I went there for a senior trip in 2013. My school always did a senior trip, and I begged my mom to let me go on this one to the Costa Rica. And I think that's part of the reason why I went to community college, is my mom fronted the bill for that. I don't have the courage to ask her, but maybe that could be why. Not the grades or anything, but that's the reason. I don't remember.
You chose a community. Wait, you chose to travel? Was it a choice?
No. It's a joke.
Okay. Oh,
it's called a goof.
Damn, you goofed me. I feel goofed. Sorry, continue.
So I don't remember the exact name of it, but when I was Googling it and looking at pictures, this one looked the most familiar, so I'm going to go with this one. And I think San Carlos is where we flew into. This one had 5 main pools. What they do is they have the hottest hot spring at the top, and then the water just flows all the way down to the bottom. So one thing I didn't think about at the time, but if some young kid peed at the top in the hottest pool, it would just flow all the way down to the bottom. And that, oh man, I'm glad I didn't think of it. But the hottest pool was around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 42 degrees Celsius. And my fondest memory there is I had the best Coca-Cola of my life. We just, I think it was like the first or second day there. Yeah,
100%.
And it's
Pure sugar.
Yeah, it's the pure sugarcane Coca-Cola. So I think it was our first night. Maybe it was our second night, but we were there. Me and my buddies, we went there. Of course, we had to go to the hot springs because that's just what you got to do. So we went there probably about 30 minutes, half hour later. They had this bar. I went to a Christian school, so I'm sure they had it monitored. Like, hey, these white American kids don't sell them any booze or alcohol. I'm sure that the chaperones were on top of that. So we went, got some Coca-Cola, a nice glass bottle, and you could take it into the springs, which is also kind of weird, but we went back up to the hottest one, and right at the top, before it enters the hottest pool that you're allowed to go into, there's a waterfall. So we all just, sat in there, drinking Coca-Cola under this waterfall. We were probably all a little dehydrated from the heat and sweating, but man, I haven't had a Coca-Cola as good as that one. So that's why it's one of the reasons why it's placed on my number 5, because that's one of my core memories, I guess, of senior year of high school.
I have very little to say, only because I have a similar thing later in the list.
All right.
But I no hot springs, but I definitely I know the vibe, and it's hard to beat, man.
Lou, have you ever been in a hot spring?
Never been a hot spring. I was gonna already share this, but I haven't really been anywhere in my life. In the places that I have visited, I kind of was like forced to.
Yeah, I had to get creative for some of my lower level ones.
Yeah. So, nope. I've done quite a bit of hot tubs.
I was going to be my next question.
I've done quite a bit of hot tubs, and I'm afraid to say that I've definitely stuck my head under a hot tub when I was a kid, and that is very disgusting.
I'm sure I have too. Just dunking in.
Yucks. Yucky ducky. It's a lot of sweaty balls.
Yeah, I don't. Just public pools and public hot tubs now in general kind of give me the ick.
Yeah.
I've seen the people that go in there, and I'm like, ooh, they don't shower before they hop in.
Nope.
Dude,
nope.
there was when I used to work at the Summit, I heard tell of an ancient legend who they referred to as the Phantom Pooper.
Oh no!
And apparently, this individual would, as they were leaving the building, relieve themselves and then shake it down the leg of their pants, so that like it was hard to spot them leaving behind this presence. After I left, Mackenzie comes home from work one day and she goes, "We have another Phantom Pooper." This man was doing the same thing, but out of his bathing suit in the hot tub, and then jamming it down into the grate at the bottom, so it would stay there long enough for him to get away. And it took them months to catch him.
They did catch him though.
They got him eventually, yeah.
Okay, that's good. I've already heard the story.
Very recently, I was like, we might have another Phantom Pooper, and I cackled like a freaking maniac.
Oh, there's a third Phantom Pooper?
Third Phantom Pooper. I was like, I'm never going back there.
Every day we get further away from the Lord.
Oh, so much fun. I applaud the Phantom Pooper.
No, screw the Phantom Pooper.
Pooping in public places. Like public, like you could, don't poop in a. What am I trying to say, guys?
I don't know.
Don't poop in a hot tub because that's disgusting. But if you want to drop a turd, on the floor, somebody has to pick it up. Okay. All right, I'm not
somebody who used to have to pick it up if it happened. I say go for it.
That was for my minimum wage jobs. If I ever had to clean up poop, I would have said no. I quit. There was one time I was working in a movie theater, and this old man came in. I was working in the booth that sold tickets, so it was cut off from the actual section. And we just hear over the radio, guys, there's some poop on the floor. And my man, someone else, thankfully I was the only person there, so they couldn't get me, but someone else went and picked it up. And like, man, I would have handed in my resignation that day, but I'm not picking up someone's poop, especially not for minimum wage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you're on Team Pooper like Lucian, leave us a comment down below.
I am not on Team Pooper. Just want to put that record. I am not on Team Pooper. Just because somebody has to pick it up. If for some reason in a different world nobody has to pick up your poop, go for it, guys. Poop on the floor. Who's telling you not to?
I guess that's one of the benefits of hiking is you basically can't just poop anywhere. You just dig a little hole and.
There you go. Yeah, it's freeing. Also, some of those movies are too long, guys. Shorten the movies up so people don't have to poop on the floor.
No, he was like checking in. He was just getting to the movie theater.
Yeah, same statement. Too long movies.
Was Dune 2 a little too long for you, Lou?
I haven't watched any of the Dooms. I don't trust Blue Eyes.
As you shouldn't. Mike, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Chop House of Ann Arbor.
Ooh. That's one way to go with this topic.
Like I said, I had to get creative. I haven't been to a lot of places. Chop House of Ann Arbor is a steakhouse conveniently located in Ann Arbor. There are others. Mackenzie took me for my birthday when we were dating. And the cool thing about Chop House is that, or at least at the time, I don't know if it's still the policy, but at the time, you got half off your bill straight on the day of your birth. Like, it wasn't, hey, we're coming to celebrate a birthday. It was if you are in on your actual birthday, half off if you have your ID. And that included the liquor. So I had a special bottling of Woodford Reserve and I got the porterhouse because the difference between the most expensive steak and the least expensive steak was like $8 before we cut it in half. And I was like, look, if it's a difference of $4, I'm getting whatever steak I want because that's such a minute portion of the bill at that point. And it was indeed the best steak I've ever had in my life. And the special bottle of Woodford, I already like Woodford. It's if you're into bourbon, it's not like one of the best out there. Like there are higher end bourbons, but it's solid and I really enjoy it. It was like somewhere between standard Woodford and Jameson, which is it's an Irish whiskey. It's not a bourbon, but it's another whiskey I enjoy. Yeah, it was fantastic. fantastic. Some of the best food I've ever had. Really great atmosphere. Really cool experience. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
So was it half off just for you, or for the you said for the whole table?
Whole bill.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's when you know your food is good. You can just use something like that. That's crazy.
Now, it's like, it was cool that it was half off, but it was less cool that it was like $90 a steak.
That's why you go for half off.
Yeah, it was like there was only one option. It's like you go on a birthday or you don't go at all, or you be obscenely wealthy, your call, or you save up for a long time. But where's the fun in that?
I don't think I've ever spent more than like $50 on a steak, and that was balling. Well, like I've bought like a 3-pound ribeye, which is more than 50, but like at a restaurant, I don't think I've ever spent that type of money.
Yeah,
So
well, that's the thing
you get
too.
a
Is
ribeye
like,
for that price, big chunk of ribeye.
this is one of the only steaks, at least I remember it being really good, but it's one of the only steaks that I didn't instantly think to myself I could make a better steak on my own, which is usually my problem with going out for steak. Because I'm like, yeah, like it's good, but I could make better for less.
Well, Lou, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is very similar to Mike's. It is just Ann Arbor as a whole. I don't know if I should eject it or not.
Oh, I definitely don't think so.
Okay, because it was just steak, but sounds like delicious steak.
Oh, it was good, man.
Yeah, yeah. So
10 out of 10 would recommend.
yeah, so I went to college in Ann Arbor, and it was either between going to a college to play football. I don't even know where the other one is. It's called Siena Heights. I have no idea. Yeah, some country, more corn than people place, or Ann Arbor. I remember being in 12th grade, and I remember my dad driving me through Ann Arbor. And you ever seen those like really corny Disney movies where the main character goes to a big city and they stick their head out and they look at all the big, they look at all the big buildings and they say, "I'm gonna be somebody one day."
That was you?
That's what you felt like driving around that small campus?
So yeah, not the campus, the downtown Ann Arbor part. Yes, I'm sorry, Robert, that you got to see the.
No, it's okay.
Very poor.
I'm still just it's an easy joke to make at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I'll talk more about that. But I went to college in Ann Arbor. I sadly, just because I didn't have a car or no transportation for a long time, I didn't really spend a lot of time in downtown Ann Arbor. I was also dirt poor, and Ann Arbor is quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, place is not cheap.
Yeah, the place is not cheap. But there were some cool things that were semi-free. There's this place called Pinball Pete's.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah. Beautiful spot. It's a basement arcade. I don't know if that's the right way to explain it.
I mean, it's an arcade.
And it's in the
It's
basement.
an arcade, and it's in the basement. There you go. And I thought that was just a super cool thing. My favorite spot to eat is this ramen spot called the Slurpin' Turtle.
Oh.
Super delicious. They have the Ann Arbor Hands-On Museum. I'm not going to lie, I've never been there, but I've looked at it a handful of times, and it looks really cool. And then my first date was at the Hudson Mill Metro Park. And I just tore my ACL, I think maybe 3 months after that. And I walked for, I want to say, 3 hours around with my now wife and completely wrecked my knee. My physical therapist was like, "What the hell did you just do to yourself?" And I was like, "Dude,
Don't understand, Doc.
Yeah,
She's
bro.
hot.
I'm just in love, cuz. What can I say? So yeah, I have a lot of love for Ann Arbor. Sad to say that my campus was, I don't even know. I feel like that's aggressive. I probably should edit that out.
That does seem aggressive.
It does seem very aggressive. What's a really good Chernobyl? Is that a better
It was
one?
like a nuclear reactor malfunction that
no.
blew up. 50,000
Chernobyl.
people used to live here.
Now it's a ghost town.
You get that reference, Lou?
Is Chernobyl not the town? It's the town, right? Chernobyl?
Yeah, but I mean, it still had the whole nuclear reactor tragedy.
Yeah. I'm trying to best explain such a poorly designed college with very few buildings and nothing to attract it to.
Yeah, that sums it up. I mean, I don't really got.
Okay, cool.
I wish I would have spent more time in Ann Arbor, but that was kind of it's like a 30-40 minute drive from where I was. So the only time I would go there is visiting. Like one time I visited Lucian and some other friends in that general area. But Dom's Donuts, it's not in Ann Arbor. It's in Ypsilanti. Man, that place slapped. Catered dessert for my wedding, so that's how good it was.
Oh, those were good donuts.
24/7. Luth said it was closed down. Wasn't actually. That was a hard day for me when I thought Dom's was done for good.
Yeah.
Just COVID restricted the hours.
Ooh, the best thing about Dom's Donuts that we used to do is if you got there at like 11 and you waited until 12, once 12 hit, the first person to walk in, everybody would like just cheer them on, and clap them up, and they're like, "What? Did I win free donuts?" We're like, "No, we're just dumb college kids that should be in bed."
Andrew, let us know what your favorite Ann Arbor thing is in the comments on our YouTube
Ooh,
page.
yeah.
Or anyone
Seems-
else, if
That's not
lives
seems
in
a little reachy. I don't
well,
know.
he's the one listener I know that has spent some quality time in Ann Arbor. I guess Drew, in case you're listening.
He is a big Ann Arbor fan. I can confirm.
My number 4 is kind of also a pretty big just chunk of land, and that is Lake Superior.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, just had to make sure. I figured a Great Lake might make an appearance on other people. Obviously, Superior is the superior option of the Great Lakes. I had to. Sorry, I was held hostage. If I didn't, my wife would have died. It's absolutely beautiful wherever you stop. If it's I should say, if the weather is good, which in Michigan, you only get about a month's worth of actually clear skies every year. So as long as the weather's good, you can stop anywhere. And it is just beautiful shores. It has the pictured rocks in it, which if you don't know, it's just these beautiful rocks that have been weathered down by Lake Superior. And it's gorgeous, picturesque, would recommend. Except for the black biting flies. Those things are awful, but
Those suck.
yeah, and they'll follow you. One time I was hiking with some friends, and we went on the beach into Superior, and we were just like, I think we were getting some water, refilling some water, and they followed us for like a mile back on the trails, just biting at us. That was no fun.
Yeah.
There's food all along the way. One way from where I'm living now, I can take through the Upper Peninsula, so we just stop off at random places on Lake Superior, and I haven't had a bad food there, but granted, I'm also looking at the reviews, so that could be part of it. One of the best things, and my wife will test this too, it is some of the best drinking water on the planet. Obviously, you want to filter it, but man, that stuff, it's weird that like water has a taste, like there's like good tasting water, but this is it. And the only downside of Lake Superior is that it's almost always cold year round just because it's so far north.
That's fair. It is. I've never been, but I imagine it's got to be freezing because I've been in some other Great Lakes, and they were not warm places, and they were not as far north.
I love it there. If I could get a lake house anywhere, it'd be on Lake Superior. And if you like shipwrecks, it's also a lot of shipwrecks happen in that lake. It's a song about it.
Well, once again, I don't have a ton to say because this is very similar, but not really objection worthy to another one of my picks.
Or my brains were thinking the same way. I think after this one, though, our lists are going to kind of take some divergence, but we'll see.
Your mom's house.
Lou, what's with this is the second podcast in a row you've made a joke about my mom's house. Is that on the list?
Oh,
I'm sorry, if
dude.
that's a top 5 place, then you had a pretty
No.
sad life, Lou.
I
It's
mean,
more about the other people, but you know,
The company he was with?
I did have a pretty good time there once or twice.
Yeah, me too. Maybe 3 times.
It's a little sadder for you, seeing as you were there substantially more often than I was.
Lou, have you been that far north into Lake Superior?
no, I think we were planning on going camping. I've already brought this up in person, so I'm not trying to guilt trip you or anything. I don't even know where, but I was literally for 6 months, I was literally training to go hiking with you guys. I was getting really good at the Stairmasters. I was ready to go. And then you were like, yeah, we're probably not going to do it. I was like, okay. Very fun.
Become this thing where it's always like, yeah, we'll go hiking next year, and next year never comes.
Yeah.
I think one of us is going to have to take the initiative, but maybe next year we'll do it, Lou.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I can hike my ass off. So,
Mike, what's your number 4?
Okay, this is such a weird one. There is a point where there's a neighborhood in Allen Park off the Southfield Freeway and Outer Drive where they built a big hill, like just big man-made hill.
I thought you were going to say the tire, the giant tire they built.
It is you can basically see the giant tire.
Oh, gosh.
From there. They basically built this hill as a method of noise dampening the freeway noise from the housing, right? And over time, a small wood grew up between the fence that they put to make sure kids didn't go climb over the hill and get run over by cars and the hill. And one day, my friends Joe and Dave and myself found a tear in the fence. And we started exploring these woods. And then we realized farther down the woods where like it was too thick, like the overgrowth was just too much for us to get to, there was a big tear in the fence. And so you could go into like, we called it the east and the west side. I have no idea if we were right on our like directions. It was just left and right. And we were like, well, this way is north because it's ahead of us. So east, west. And we used to go back there and we would play all manner of games, including tag, and specifically tag and variations of tag. And through that process, we discovered multiple weird ways that you could get from the east to the west side without having to exit the woods. And then another day, we just said, screw it. And we all put on really heavy clothes and like just coats and multiple pairs of pants. And we just forced our way through the overbrush, and we made our own path from the east to the west side. And it was just our own little kingdom. We called it the Jikid. It was Joe and Mike and David. Jikid.
Of course.
And when we were back there in middle school, man, that was freedom. You know, there was nobody coming around. None of the people, like the neighborhood bully didn't know about the place, so we could just go and have a great time. We'd go play airsoft back there. Yeah, man, it was awesome. I absolutely loved that place. Tons of fantastic childhood memories. I don't remember most of the names, but we actually named a lot of the different, like, we had like street names. If you went up to the top of the hill, it was really windy. So I think we called it the Breezy Freeway, because you could also see the freeway. And then there was we found this spot later, lower down at the bottom of the hill, that you could use to get from east to west. And so we called it the hidden highway. I think the main road that we just made ourselves, we just named it Jike Road. A lot of things got shortened to Jike, so David kind of got screwed out of his name being included very often. And yeah, just endless good childhood memories playing back in the woods.
Did this make it into Capitol Hill?
I am not legally allowed to answer that question due to the disclaimer at the start of the book. Do with that what you will.
It just seems like it'd be something like good for, what's the term for not like a kid novel? Mm-hmm. A middle grade age. Like a middle grade novel. That seems like it'd be the perfect, go and have these adventures back there. I think you said like last pod, like it was, or sometime you said it was like inspired by that area, so that's why I asked. But I can't say I've been there. The only hill I know in Allen Park is the hill where all the restaurants are, where Lou and I
also something very, very close.
Yeah.
The neighborhood is like right at the bottom of the hill.
Lou and I would go get Chick-fil-A from time to time there.
Nice.
Just chat it up.
We would, there was a Target there, and we would, me and one of my buddies would just like, we'd scrounge up whatever cash we could get our hands on. We would get 6-packs of the 24-ounce Mountain Dews, and then we'd take them to this bridge, and we would just drink Mountain Dew till we puked. It was the best. Middle school, man.
At least it was Mountain Dew, nothing crazy.
Right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, some very legitimate and real neon green vomit happened happened back there.
That's why it's illegal in most places of the world.
Mountain Dew?
Yeah, Mountain Dew. It's like the food, something, one of the chemicals, like food dyes, something.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it. It makes sense. I love it, but I try not to drink it as much as possible.
You could talk to Ray from Greensboro. I'm sure he has something about, it's not red dye, whatever, but he probably knows a thing or two.
Oh, I'm sure there's red dye in Code Red, though.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I used to love Code Red. Now I'm not really a fan of Code Red.
It's not my favorite Mountain Dew, but I enjoy it still. But I definitely, I wouldn't argue with you if you were like, nah. For me, the big three will always be Standard Mountain Dew, Code Red, and Voltage.
Baja doesn't make your list?
It's not in the big three. It'd definitely be number 4.
I disagree. We'll save that for the top 5 Mountain Dew flavors topics. Sponsored.
Weirdly enough, by Coca-Cola?
Yeah. Sponsored by Faygo, as we talk about. Lou, just question. Does Baja top your top 3 Mountain Dew flavors?
Yeah, Baja is easily number 1.
All right, thank you. We're not with two heathens
Of course
here.
he's going to say that. He's a Taco Bell stan.
Hey, we stand Taco Bell on this pod.
I mean, I don't have any problem with standing Taco Bell. I'm just saying, like, you're picking an easy, like.
Let me tell you, you don't know how much you miss Taco Bell until all you have is a Taco John's.
Taco John. They're like.
I feel like that might actually increase the missing of the Taco Bell at that point.
Yeah. They have.
Like you might miss it more than if you just didn't have it.
It's true. I'd rather have like a Del Taco or Taco Bueno. Those are, not the same, but they're, oh my gosh, Taco John's. If you like the potato olays, you're a masochist, or you like the taste of some bodily fluids that are emitted for some people.
If you're saying if you like Taco John, you eat ass, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying I've heard some people do a comparison of potato olays and man's emissions.
Oh my!
They're not Taco John. Taco John's
Yep.
not.
Yep.
The hell's going
I got
on
that
here?
secret sauce at Taco John's.
John got that sauce.
Allegedly. Okay, it's Taco.
Oh,
Don't come
my
after us,
Lanta.
Taco John's. It's just the word
Oh,
around
my
town. I've heard from some people that probably
Who
know a
told
thing or
you?
two about.
Who are you hanging out with?
Don't worry about it, man.
Oh my
I can't
Lanta.
give my sources in case Taco John's comes after them. You know.
Oof.
Tell your wife I said hi.
Oh my Lanta. This is too much. This is too much for me.
Breaking news.
My
That's
face is
why you
getting
listen to the top podcast. Controversial news takes or food takes. Lou,
I just like making Lucian feel uncomfortable. That's
Lucian,
what I'm
have you ever
90%.
heard of Taco John's before today?
I've heard of Taco John, yeah. I think I've low-key ate at Taco John before. Ooh. You know, I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah. Since I've moved here, they've been saying we're getting Taco Bell, but well, I'll believe it when I see
Who
it.
is they? Who do you keep talking? Who are
Dude,
your
the
source?
Taco Bell has released a statement. They intend to build a Taco Bell this year, but they released that like 2 years ago.
Yeah, because Taco John is nutting on everybody, so they can't do about it. What are you expecting here?
I just want Taco
My
Bell,
favorite
man.
day.
How do we get a Noodles and Company before a Taco Bell? Or Jersey Mike's before a Taco Bell? I don't know, but that's where we're at.
Jersey Mike's is delicious.
Jersey Mike's. Yeah, I was gonna say, don't you dare.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like Taco Bell is more popular. It just seems weird that we'd have those before a Taco Bell. Lou, what's your number 4?
So I ain't never been nowhere in my life unless somebody has told me to. And so this is the first place that I think I've ever went to trip-wise, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, I went to Windsor, Canada.
Oh, how's
which
she going, eh?
Sounds it sounds like I took a drive, but it was only like 10 minutes away.
Yeah, I heard somebody say once that Windsor is basically just a suburb of Detroit.
Some may say it's South Detroit.
If you know your Kwame Kilpatrick history, that joke was killer, by the way. I get that it's a very niche subject matter, but like...
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I got my enhanced license. Me and my wife got my enhanced license, and we were
Nice.
newly married. I wanted to do something cool. Neither of us went out, quote unquote, out of the country. And so we were like, we have our license. Let's do it. Little did I know that Border Patrol is a thing. I forgot.
You forgot? You thought they just opened? I mean, up
I
here
forgot.
it is, not Detroit.
I forgot Border Control is a thing. And I had a 5-foot large panda bear buckled back seat of my car.
I forgot about this story.
And because my wife bought that for me, I think maybe a month in our marriage, and that was to celebrate our 1 month. And if you know me, I love panda bears. It's my favorite animal. And if it
My
looks like
favorite day.
if it's buckled, it kind of looks like a person dressed as a panda bear just in the back seat of the car. And so I pulled up, and the guy was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Well, what is what?" And I looked back, and it was just the panda bear. I was like, "Oh, that's just my bear." He's like, "That's it?" It's like, "That's it, sir." Yeah, we got out scot-free, which was good.
Dang, they didn't search the bear? I would have been like, they're hiding drugs back there or something.
I had just assumed that I was like smuggling children and stuffing them in bears. That's what I would have went with.
Ooh, some
But
Five Nights at
nope.
Freddy's stuff?
Never seen that movie, but yeah. And so can anybody guess the first thing I did when I went to Canada?
Strip club.
No. No,
Drink.
you're getting closer.
Get some
Smoke weed?
Waffle House.
You're-
Peyote. Peyote's legal there.
No.
man.
You guys are painting me like I'm this druggy.
Well, I'm
This
just
veteran.
trying to think of things you do when you go to Canada. It has nothing to do
Well,
with you.
since
It
you're
has everything to do with
you were already married, it wasn't because Canada the drinking age is 19, so a popular thing in Metro Detroit is on your 19th birthday you go to Canada and just get plastered. I never did it, but I had some friends that did. But you were what, like 22 at the time,
I was
23?
I was 23 and I was not drinking.
Do you go to an escape room? That's what I did.
Oh
when
my-
when I went
oh
to
my gosh.
Windsor, Canada.
I went to Tim Hortons.
You can get that on our
Yeah, that is
side
a
of
traditional
the
Canada
border.
thing, too.
I went to Tim Hortons.
You went to
I
Timmy's?
thought this was a shoe-in. I went to Timmy's. It's the origin of the place. You don't go to ramen. You don't go to Japan and not have ramen,
I bet.
right?
But
Don't go to Mexico without eating tacos.
The thing is, like,
true.
I don't.
the most recent time I went to Mexico, I don't think I had a single taco.
Ooh,
But you go to Mexico all the
Checkmate.
time, right?
Not even all the time. I've been 3 times in my life, but I
the time.
have had a taco. But I will say I am more of a quesadilla enchilada guy, and so it's like you stick to the things you like because you're only there for a week, so you may as well just have as much of your favorite.
now
But I feel where you're coming from. You got to have the local cuisine.
But here's the thing. I like Timmy's, so I'm just going to say that. But how big of a difference is there between the Windsor, Ontario Timmy's and the Detroit Timmy's? That's a 5-minute drive.
0. No difference. Nothing. I thought it was going to taste magical. I thought it was going to be a beautiful experience.
Do you get the apple fritter?
Nothing. I got the maple bar or whatever the hell.
Long
John? Slow down.
That's what they're called, Long Johns. You put the Doms? I've gotten you a Long John before. You dirty bastard.
I think it is called the maple bar, though. Is it not?
I don't know. Anyways, so Windsor, Ontario. Timmy's, you're disappointed.
Disappointed. Went to a park that had 3,000 reviews. And when the guy told me at Customs or Border Patrol, where are you going? I told him the park, and he was like, really? You're going there? I was like, oh, that's not a good sign. I get to the park, nothing. It's dead. There's nothing. Like, it's the most boring park experience. We saw sketchy people. We saw one flower. But me and my wife still had fun, I think. So, shout out to Canada. Oh, and we got poutines, which you have to go to Canada and get a poutine. A little overrated, but
I don't mind them.
They're not bad.
There's a barbecue place here that makes some really. It's a different take on it, but it makes some really good poutine.
Not bad. Love me a good cheese curd.
That's fair, man.
Lee, why don't you tell all the uninformed people what a poutine is? Because it just sounds kind of weird. What is
That's
poutine?
fair. A poutine are, my guess is, freshly cut fries that are cooked so perfectly. I will say. I don't know how they're cooking their fries, but they're very beautiful and brown, and it is some sort of brown gravy. I can't tell if it's like based off of what, but it's a nice brown gravy, and then cheese curds, which I don't know how to explain cheese curds per se.
Fried cheese.
Go
to Culver's.
Most poutines will have the unfried part, and they melt beautifully. You kind of just mix it all together, and it becomes a beautiful thing in your mouth. And some are topped with meat. Some are, some have their own style to them.
And it sits in your stomach like a brick.
It does sit in your stomach like a brick. It's like eating glue. You're not running a marathon after that, I will say.
Not with that attitude.
Ooh, there we go. New top toppers challenge.
Ooh.
Maybe we do a 1K, not even a 5K. We'll just cut it down to 1K.
Yeah.
Go run around the block after eating it, and we'll give you 10 points.
Like maybe a mile. A poutine mile still sounds brutal.
Gosh, the poutine mile. Oh, how's she going, eh? Oh.
Top. It's one of the top podcast directed DVD films.
So my number 3 is in Colorado, which I love the state as a whole. But specifically, it is Rocky Mountain National Park in Estes Park.
That makes sense.
It's the 4th most popular national park in the United States. Sadly, I haven't had the opportunity to go and actually hike there, but I've driven through it 2 times. There's a more quote-unquote off-road section that I took once with my truck, and it was well worth whatever wear and tear I put on the truck. It's just a beautiful scenery. The wildlife there is crazy, and they don't give an F about people. Obviously, people, hopefully no one's going to mess with them, but I'll see moose or deer around here, and they're always running away from people and cars and everything, which is good because then you won't hit them. In the national park, they're just so used to it that they're just keep on grazing or whatever. So I think I've seen most of the animals there, but I have not seen a bear, which I'm actually okay with. I'm okay just seeing bears in zoos and behind some sort of large machine that will protect me from those death machines.
Yeah, I think people don't give bears enough credit.
Yeah, they're fast. They'll
don't give them enough credit as what? Killing machines?
As killing machines, yeah.
That's fair.
If nobody knew what a bear was, and that thing just came out of the woods, we would lose our minds. We were like, what dog is that? Oh, no, that's not a dog. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair, man. Bear will mess you up.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to, what is that, Fat Bear Month? Something like that. There's some month where there's
some elaboration.
So
are you sure you're talking about a person or actual?
Yeah, I'm talking about the actual animals, not to be confused. It's run by the National Park Service. Once a year, there's this online thing where you can vote for, they have the pictures of the bears right after hibernation and then right before hibernation, and they just vote for who thinks who's the biggest chunk lord. I'll find it and put it in you can see it up on the screen now if you're watching on YouTube. But yeah, that's
amazing.
Yeah.
Now I have another thing I want my wife to call me.
Chunk lord or yeah.
Chunk lord, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Estes Park is also a really cool place. It's definitely more of a tourist trap. the hotel there is what inspired Stephen King's The Shining. He stayed in that hotel.
Oh, that's hotel.
It's called the Stanley Hotel, which is, kind of funny because the person that directed the movie was Stanley Kubrick. Wasn't the movie was not the hotel from the movie, but it's what's inspired it. There's actually like a hedge maze in the hotel too, but it's pretty small and you can see over it, so it's not like what it was in the movies. But it's really cool. I think there's some other movie that was filmed there. They also have posters of that too. I don't remember which. Oh, the hotel in Dumb and Dumber was there. So got two ends of the spectrum.
Way different.
And allegedly, it is still haunted. My wife and I are going there this summer. Not the hotel, but to Estes Park this summer for a wedding, and we're super excited for it. We're going to camp out because since it is a tourist town, it is super expensive. And we found out we could camp at one of the campgrounds for 4 nights for the same price as 1 night at a hotel. So just a little option if you guys wanted to go there.
That's fair. Have you ever read The Shining?
I have not. I've seen the movie though, which I know is completely different. Is it Doctor Sleep? Is the other one that's like more closely related?
Yeah, it's kind of amusing. I don't like The Shining the movie. I really liked the book. Normally I don't like book movies because I'm like, it's not accurate to the book. Meh. Like I'm a grump about that. Go figure. And that has nothing to do with it. I just genuinely didn't like the movie every time I tried to watch it before I even read the book. Anyway, point being, didn't really care for Dr. Sleep, the book. I thought it was, I think a lot of the praise for it just was like people being like, well, I love The Shining, so I'm just going to say I liked this book. I didn't think it was very good at all. And all of my favorite parts were like the B plot so the main plot I really didn't care for. And then the movie comes along and doesn't even include B plot. So all my favorite parts are cut from the movie, and they didn't do a very good job sticking to the main book. But since I didn't like the main book to begin with, I actually really enjoyed the movie. So it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, they did a really bad job sticking to the book, and that's why I like it.
And
so it's just a weird twist of fate for me.
And there's a dead kid in it, and like in the first, 30 minutes. So
I don't know what your hang up with dead kids is.
just want to put that out there.
Yeah, The Shining, the movie, is kind of, I feel about it like Mike feels about the Beatles. We're like, yeah, back in the time it was probably groundbreaking, but it's not for me now. And I feel like I'm okay with long movies, unlike Lou, but I feel like it just takes, the pacing is bad and it just takes forever to get somewhere in the movie.
It is a ridiculously long film.
Yeah, I think you do have to give credit to the actress, the mom.
She was like mentally abused. It was wild.
Yeah, no, she went through a lot.
So and it showed. Like I'm not saying she should have, but it worked. I guess I don't know if that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It worked.
Forced method acting.
Shouldn't have happened, but it did work.
Not
Forced
worth it.
Method acting. Yeah.
Yeah, not worth it. I would rather her be mentally healthy than have a decent a decent movie. But it turned out well. She did well.
Go check out Estes Park. Looking for a good getaway. Mike, what is your number 3?
My number 3, I suspect this is on one or both of your lists,
I doubt it.
is Bear Lake Bible Camp. Really?
No.
Wasn't on my list. No.
All right. Well, like I said, I haven't been too many places, but Bear Lake is the camp that all of us went to. If you listened with any kind of regularity, you will have heard us talk about it. And it is just one of the most calm and peaceful places I've ever been.
Except for
to the
Scuba
point where
Man
I used the
and the bearfish.
Oh, okay. Sorry, total tangent. Like most summer camps, it has a lot of just like fun little made up spooky myths. I believe that leadership is trying to put the kibosh on those, which upsets me greatly. But one of the myths is the bearfish.
Oh,
Jo came home from her grandmother's house the other day and she goes, Dada, I need you to tell me the story of the bearfish. I don't know this story. Like I know I know that it's one of the stories in camp and it's designed to keep kids from going in the lake after hours, but I do not know the actual story of the bearfish. And I was like, I don't know, ask your Uncle Rob. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh crap, I don't know that she's a small child who gets scared of things way too easily. I don't know that I want her to know the story of the bearfish.
Wow.
So next time Rob's in town, you're going to be in a weird position where she's going to be asking you this story. And you're welcome to tell her. That's entirely your call.
I don't know if there's an actual story. Maybe I'll write a mythology of it. It's like
There you go,
rivals
that'd
the
be fun.
Loch Ness Monster. But I was always just like told like, you know, it's 20 feet long, can swim up to 40 miles an hour and has like green eyes. And I remember it was a genius move. But I think they used to have these paddle boats there. And it was in junior, so that's like, you know, 3rd through 6th grade. And I was out there with the counselor. The counselor was on there. And I think he didn't want to be out there anymore. So I was like, oh, guys, we got to go. The bearfish is right on us. So I almost like pissed my pants trying to pedal as fast as possible to get back to the dock so the bearfish doesn't freaking eat us. And I remember the first time I went tubing, I had a death grip because I'm like, I can't fall off. Can't let the bearfish get me. And I didn't fall off. So
Hey, there you go. But yeah, excluding that one little element, I think it is just like, it is a place that every time I go there, it's like I can feel the world slowing down around me. And it goes at its own pace, and I'm a huge fan of that pace, even when it's a hard week of work when you're counseling and it's just exhausting and stressful. There's still just something about the atmosphere at Bear Lake where it's like, hey, man, no matter how bad this gets, it's going to be okay. You know, we're going to get through it. It might be tough, but we're going to make it out on the other side. And like, I know I'm going to leave in a much better mindset than I arrived in just about every single time. We think we're probably going to talk more about it in a later podcast, so I don't want to go too in depth. But next week. Okay, there we go.
yeah, the next one.
But
spoiler,
yeah.
we're talking about next week, so yeah.
Talking about next week.
I will lay off at this point.
I agree. It didn't even cross my mind. I guess it was almost. I guess when I was thinking this, for me, it was like, oh, you know, someplace further away, or like something I've only been to once or a handful of times. So yeah, I agree. Definitely should have been an honorable mention, but yeah, I forgot. I didn't even cross my mind for this.
I didn't put it on my list because we're talking about it next week.
That's fair.
So, but yes to it all.
Well, there's a taste of what's to come.
There we go. That's what I was gonna say.
Like potato Lays. Lou, what's your number 3?
Generally, I don't like the state, but Hocking Hills in Ohio
Boo.
is my number 3.
Boo.
Have you guys
Trying to get
been?
himself kicked off the pod. Did you hear that?
I have not
Again,
been there, but I
have
agree
not
with you.
been to many places. Thank you. Okay. So this is for some reason, Michigan has so many beautiful things to visit, but for some reason, one of my favorite places to go when it comes to nature is this place called Hocking Hills. I've been there twice. I've been once with my family and then once newly married. It's just awesome. Yeah.
Is
It's
it
just a really cool spot. I really don't know how to explain nature.
Is it just like a park, or is it like a kind of a place you go hike?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So the best thing about it is the waterfall there, and you pretty much get to the waterfall almost immediately. But it's just a trail. I have very fond memory of looking at this beautiful, beautiful waterfall and being like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. I've never really been in the woods like this before, and this is awesome. And then I look down and a dog is taking a dump right in the water. And that was beautiful too. It's just really fun. I recommend going. When I was with my family, we went in a cabin in that kind of general area, and that was really fun. It's just a nice little chill little area.
It's just like, you can go hang out type of area.
You could hang out, and then they have some
picnicking
trails.
spot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like necessarily hiking.
Just walking,
But-
meandering.
Meandering. Yep. Meandering.
There you go.
That word doesn't work. Thank you.
I have
if you
words like
look at-
that too. So
Yeah, for sure. And there's like this one spot which I think is awesome. Whoever took the pictures, my assistant's looking at it right now, and whoever took the pictures did like the best parts are the pictures. So there's this like cliff that looks across like just a sea of trees.
Oh, very cool.
And that's just like really, really cool to see. And then there's just like beautiful steps and limestone. It's just nature's awesome. If you've never done anything, even if you're not quote unquote nature, or you hate bugs or nature scares you, I recommend doing it at least once. Getting outside, places that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. I mean, it's like God's creation, so might as well enjoy it.
how far away is it from the Metro Detroit area?
It's 4 hours away, so
It's not terrible.
Oh, yeah.
not terrible, not great. I thought it was closer.
So coming back around to number 2, have you guys watched the Indiana Jones? The only 3 movies. There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies. Have you guys watched them?
I think there's more than 3.
No,
There's
there's
like
only 3.
5.
No.
Pretty sure there's 5 of them. They just came out with a new one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We don't need to talk about
that
the
here.
Diary of Destiny.
I'm a big Shia LaBeouf fan. I don't know about you guys.
I know Rob is a big fan of the
Just do it!
meme.
Shia LaBeouf.
And that, oh my gosh, I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Holy crap.
Blast from the past.
Running for your life from Shia LaBeouf.
But You guys have seen the Holy Grail, the third one?
Oh, that's the best one. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, there's one Indiana Jones movie.
Oh,
With Sean Connery, right?
yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's for
That
blasphemy.
easily has one of my all-time favorite lines in cinema too. When they both find out they slept with the Nazi girl, and Sean Connery's like, "I'm as human as the next man," and Indy's like, "I was the next man."
It's that or the first one. I haven't watched Temple of Doom in a long time, but I know a lot of people say that people sleep on Temple of Doom, but I have to give it a watch.
Really, I guess that makes sense because I've heard it's not that good. So people are sleeping on it. That would add up.
Anyways, at the very end, they go to this place where they finally figure out Alexandretta is where the Holy Grail is. And they ride their horses out to this place, and it is actually filmed in Petra, Jordan. And in 2014, I got to go there. And let me tell you, oh my, it's so beautiful. Like, pictures don't do it justice. If you don't know, it's a full city built into the rocky terrain of the landscape. It's right next to the mountain Jabal al-Mahib. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm sorry if I butchered it. It's so beautiful. The rock is like a red rose color, and like going there, all I knew was the famous treasury, which is the main staple of Petra. And you know, when you think of like the seven wonders of the ancient world, that's one of them. But there's this whole city around it, and it's just so cool, so beautiful. And yeah, I just recommend going there. It's like walking down. You go through all these different like homes, and they have different like historical shops, and you can see the aqueducts they have carved in that's just been there for centuries upon centuries. And like you go through, and then you kind of see through the cave, you see the treasury, and you're just like, this anticipation builds up, and then it's just like so cool when you finally step out and watch it, or step out and see it. It's not something easy to do coming, especially from the U.S. I think it's like a 13.5-hour plane ride. Wouldn't recommend, but it was such a cool experience, and I'd recommend it to anyone that could go there to do that.
That does sound pretty sick. And I mean, I've only seen the movie, but that city is wild looking.
And allegedly there was someone trying to, so I went with the church group. Allegedly there was someone that trying to sell some other people in the group some weed. So if that's your thing, you can look at the beauty and enjoy some local traditions, I guess. A local culture. One thing I will say, sadly, you can't go in the treasury anymore. It was closed down in the early 2000s. So that one, I felt kind of blue-balled. I really wanted to go inside and see around, but only like the local people can do that, and archaeologists. That was a sad day when I found out we couldn't do that, because I was really excited for it, to see what was actually in there, see if I could find the Grail, the knights, of the, I don't remember, the three knights. I don't know, something like that. Some crusaders.
Knights of the Templar?
Yeah, Knights of the Templar. I think that's what they were.
Plus, if it wasn't for that movie, we wouldn't have one of the rare good season 9 jokes from How I Met Your Mother.
You have chosen.
She chose Wesley.
I guess there was actually an old Pepsi ad where it's like someone like chooses Coke, drinks it, and then the same thing where probably his face didn't turn decrepit and to dust, but it was like, you have chosen poorly, and then they grab a Pepsi and drink it, and all that. It's like, you have chosen wisely. So.
They start pouring Pepsi in Sean Connery's bullet wound.
It's healing. Oh my gosh!
For those who think young.
Well, Mike, what's your number 2?
That's a joke nobody's gonna get.
If you get that joke, leave it in the comment. We'll
and
give
this
you a
is
top
generalized. Yeah, right. So my number 2 specifically is Taos, Michigan, but really anywhere in northern Michigan. I'm not going to fight you over it. Taos is just, we went to Harrisville for a very long time, and I enjoyed Harrisville with my dad's side of the family. It was a great tradition. I enjoyed it immensely. And then towards the end of the tradition, we started going to Taos, and essentially it was the exact same thing, but like an hour and a half closer. And so the drive just wasn't anywhere near as bad. Yeah, I loved it. It's just a small beach town. There's nothing extraordinary about it. There's, tons and tons of places just like it all over the place on any of the Great Lakes in Michigan. But that's just the one that I went to. I believe way early on in the podcast, I said I'm not a big bonfire guy, and I'm not. I stand by it. But I had a lot of, or still have, a lot of really fond memories out by the campfire with my aunt and my uncles, just hanging out way late at night, talking. And I am one of 2 nieces and nephews in the entire family. And so I very rarely got treated like a nephew, and was basically just treated like the younger sibling by my aunts and uncles. So it wasn't like like I always just got to be part of the group. There was never any like there in terms of like, hey, that's inappropriate. Let's not say that around him. That existed, which is good and healthy. But at the same time, there was always just like, hey, he just gets to be one of us. And that was where I always felt that the most, that I was just basically one of the brothers and sisters. That'll always have just a sweet spot in my heart.
There's
Northern Michigan on the lake.
Yeah, there's nothing like going up north. And sadly, I didn't get to experience that until like my college years when I'd go to like other people's lake houses or the family would have some connections up there because I just never went. My mom didn't have anything. We couldn't afford it. But yeah, up north is so much fun.
Yeah, we didn't have like our own place or anything. We would always just rent. But even so, if you can afford a week, I can't recommend it highly enough.
I agree. It's like a whole nother world up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest fear for a lot of people who are from, the Detroit area is that we're not allowed up there. That's what I always thought growing up, but I don't think that's the case. At least for generally the most of the people that I've interacted with up there, a lot of them are just kind people.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing until you said it just now. So my great grandpa actually grew up on a farm in Harrisville. And technically, our family still owns land up there. When my great grandpa died, he divvied it up. He divvied up the farm amongst like 7 or 9 kids, and it was like you each get to pick a 40-acre chunk. And it was like a family legend that there were no disagreements. Everyone wanted one specific chunk, and it was all different. So everyone just got the 40 they wanted. And so when my great grandpa died, he passed it on to my grandpa. And I think my grandpa might have just sold it to my uncle, who I think they managed to sell the land and then get a plot of land like right across the street from the state park. So it's still like a family thing. But I think because of that, like when we would go to Harrisville specifically, it was like, oh, every now and then we'll talk to like distant family members and like people still know like our last name and stuff. So I never even realized that was a thing because I guess technically we were one of them.
Lou, where did you call up north, if ever?
Petoskey?
Petoskey?
I think that's
okay.
As soon as I see Mackinac Bridge, I feel like that's up north. I think
That's really up north.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
you got a high up north.
You're almost UP up north. That is UP up
Yeah.
north to Mackinac Island.
Yeah, I think you asked me this question on the pod one time, and I did like really low. So I guess now I'm shooting it really high.
For me, it's always like north of Flint. Then you're considered up north, which I think is
Nice.
75, if I remember correctly.
For sure, yeah. I agree with that. North of Flint.
Lou, what's your number 2?
Yeah, so my number 2 is this small little town of like 14,000 people called Elizabethton.
You just say a small
Elizabethton?
town of 14,000 people? North Dakota is angry at you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a big
North
old
Dakota.
town.
How big is North Dakota?
I don't. Not a lot. They have less than 800,000 people total.
Wow. Numbers. Science, baby. In 11th grade, I did a mission trip,
Oh,
and it was not very fun. But I was like, this is what mission trips are about. You just don't have fun in mission trips. And you go there to work and to serve, and you eat bad food. The staff at the place that you live in tell you that you're doing more harm than good. And they say that you shouldn't be here. They were like, it was crazy.
shoot that.
It wasn't great. And then so my youth pastor was like, all right, well, that was garbage. Let's go to I don't think it was his hometown, but he served there for a long time. And it is the closest thing I've ever been to feeling like I was riding with a celebrity in town. It was.
That makes sense.
I couldn't word it any other way. And yes, we went there and we did a lot of serving, and I had a lot of, and we worked really hard. I worked on a handicap ramp in just a clay pit. It was just absolutely nuts. And I feel like I did a lot of good work. But the highlight of it, and this is kind of selfish of me to say, but my youth pastor just had so many people show him love, and we were just love adjacent to that. And so we were getting like food, they were like feeding us like kings. It was awesome. It was so cool. And everybody was just showing us so much love, and we didn't even we just felt like celebrities for the whole week, and it was just so cool. And a lot of my like favorite leaders were there. I just graduated high school, and so I'm just on this like super high. It was just like one of the coolest things. I've never been to Tennessee, and I just always have. And I don't know if this is just me or if if a lot of people can feel about it, but when you're in a small town that's not the same color as you kind of get nervous. I've seen Deliverance. You know, I don't want to squeal like a pig. You know, I had this like super negative thought that everybody was gonna hate me and I was gonna have to just like keep quiet the whole time and the cops were gonna like give me a hard time. But no, dude, it was awesome. It was so cool. And the first time I had Bojangles, which oh my gosh, those blueberry
Dude,
biscuits.
but those bow rounds. Mm.
What are
Tight.
bow rounds? I forgot about those.
So instead of like when you think of a traditional McDonald's hash brown,
Yeah.
their hash browns they're just little circles.
Yeah.
But they season those puppies up so nice.
They're probably semen free too.
Yeah,
That's
unlike potato Lay's.
yeah, sorry, I took your joke, Robert. I apologize. But I love how it always.
No nut to be found in. Yeah, they are nut free.
Oh,
So any allergies, you're good.
I wonder how Taco John sells potato Lay's in November. Took a second, but he got there.
November.
I got there.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck is he? Oh.
So
They
yeah,
probably have to store it up. Like October, they have to work double time.
It's like a sperm bank.
Oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
milking the cow.
Oh god,
Yikes.
we're getting demonetized. This is our last episode.
For sure.
Rough. Do I need to talk about? Yes, mission trips. If you've never been on a mission trip, I recommend going once. I think the key to a mission trip is knowing that you're not trying to save anybody's life. You're not like there to solve all the problems. You're really just there to experience the culture, to spread the gospel a little bit, and just make the place a little bit better than you left it. You know, you're not going to be Superman.
My number one on the same trip as my number two, but it's just Jerusalem. I love history, and that is a place just seeping history. As a Christian, I think this is one of the most eye-opening experiences I've ever had. The analogy I like to use for the Holy Land is that before I saw the Bible in black and white, but going there and seeing the places made it feel like I was seeing the Bible in color whenever I'd read it again. The cultural differences are crazy in that place. Obviously, whatever side you're on, both sides are just waiting for the other side to react and go at each other. So you're walking around and you see fighter jets flying overhead. They have like patrols with M16s and machine guns walking through the streets. And it's just something as even like, you know, people talk about Americans being like gun crazy. It's just like, oh man, that's a fully loaded M16 or M4 just waiting to get shot. So that was
It's gotta be stressful.
yeah. I mean, I just kind of ignored it. I'm like, well, if it's my time, it's my time. One thing I think was interesting though was in that whole trip, there was a lot of people that spoke English. I think it was broken English, but you could still kind of communicate. And I wish I knew more of their languages, but I think it's because English is like the business language nowadays, just how, you know, in 100 years, it's probably going to be Mandarin or something like that, because that's just the way it's going. And there's always like the main language that a lot of people will learn if they're not from that country. None of us Americans just look stupid and uncultured swines because we know one language. I think it was cool for...
Someday it'll be China, though, that looks stupid and uncultured.
There we go. We're playing the long game. There we go.
They think they're winning. They're just making themselves look dumb.
Like I said, it was cool with the history. The problem with a lot of the biblical historical sites is that we don't know for sure where everything is. So there's like the Catholics will say this happened in this place. The Protestants will say this happened in this place. The Muslims will say this event happened over here because, you know, they still think of Jesus as a prophet and all that. So they have their own locations. And so it was cool going. I went to the Garden Tomb, which is I think more of the Protestant, where they believe Jesus rose from the tomb as this Easter is happening. And then there's a place where Golgotha apparently was, you know, the place with the skull and the rock. And it's just such a cool place. The old city is like broken up into different parts. You can tell as soon as you cross over into the different districts, it's like the way things are decorated and people are dressed. It's totally different. It's so cool. That place is just beautiful buildings. They have the Western Wall, and even the Dome of the Rock is there. And it's such a cool building just to see from the outside. It's gorgeous architecture and everything. And one of my favorite things I did there was go through Hezekiah's tunnels, aka the Siloam tunnels. And this is where in the Bible it talks about they built these underground tunnels so the Assyrians that are attacking couldn't get access to water. So you just go down in these caves and all you have is like these headlamps and you're just walking and there's waterways, and it's so cool just to go underneath these ancient caverns that are dated around the late 8th and early 7th century BC. So it's just such a cool place to be in. And yeah, I think I love history, and that's one of the most historically important cities in the whole world. That's why it's my number one.
Yeah.
Lou, do you think that potentially Rob was just kind of like, man, those guys had deep answers last week, and I'm going to set them up? So
That's
I
so.
get to have the deep answers this week.
What is? How do you quote it? Get out of my brain. I think that's what you say often.
Yeah, get out of my brain.
I do say that a lot.
Yeah, get out of my brain because I was like, oh man, my number one is not as good, man.
Well,
Yep.
I thought I'd be the
think
more
so.
like, I guess, quote unquote world traveler, but I thought I didn't know what your guys' travel experiences were. I could guess what Mike's number one would be.
You absolutely got us both beat.
Yeah, Mike's number 5 was a freaking steakhouse.
Hey, nothing
It was a
wrong
good
with
thing.
that. Nothing wrong with that.
I was gonna say, man, I gamed the system this time. Someone does it every week. This time it was me.
Well, we haven't seen lose number one.
Desperate times cause creativity, you know.
Right now, not the best time to go over there, but maybe let things cool down and then go over there.
Let's put it mildly.
Yeah, we're not
Very-
we're not
the most
a
mild-
political podcast, so we're gonna just tiptoe around that.
No, I don't think it's a hot take at all to be like it's a little tense over there right now.
I mean, it was a little the border crossing. So we flew into Jordan, which is the more the more welcoming side to the Holy Land, and it's like crossing there. They had like surface to air missiles, tanks everywhere, and it was like the most tense. They had like these huge like chain link fence with like the guards sitting on each side, and you like cross in this open area where there's nothing in between, and it was wild. Nothing like crossing to Windsor, Ontario. Let me tell you.
Hey,
If I showed up with the panda
If
bear,
you brought a panda bear,
I
they
would not
shot
be
you
leaving.
dead.
Yep. Would not be leaving with that panda. All right, Mike.
Who was Rob crucified next to? Oh, it was a giant stuffed bear.
ew. Golly.
All right, so we had some technical difficulties, and the recording ended up getting cut off. Basically, when I was done with number one, so if we reference something again, we're sorry. We're not quite sure where it happened and what we lost and what we didn't. So this could just be a whole fever dream for you guys that don't understand the references that we probably have from the last time we recorded this. But Mike, what is your number one?
Just as a quick side note, referencing what you just said, it's been a crazy week. I don't remember 5 minutes ago, so I don't think I could reference 2 days ago when we
I think
recorded.
there was some guy, on a trip, and some weird picture of him surfaced. I don't know, something like that.
That sounds vaguely familiar, but I definitely cannot confirm that in a court of law. My number one is Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, Mexico.
Oh, you did it better than this time. Good job. That was clean.
If you say so. Again, I don't remember 5 minutes ago. So my family does a trip. Thank you. Gotta
Put our energy into this little segment. Gotta bring it.
Oh man, I got the slap happy. Believe me, I don't know if I'm bringing the right energy, but there is a type of energy. So my father for sure goes on this trip every year. I believe my grandfather also is an annual attender. Other members of the family kind of go when they have it in the budget. My dad, last time we talked budget, every single bit of fund money in the budget that is allocated to him goes right in the Mexico fund. This is his thing that he waits for all year. He trains year round so he can be in just insane boogie boarding shape. 3 times in my life, my dad's been like, hey, you want to go to Mexico with me? When I was 16, I don't remember if it was like, hey, this is your 16th birthday present, or if I did well in school because there was an incentive program in my house, or what it was. But when I was 16, we went over winter vacation. When I was 18, I know that was a family thing. When you turned 18, you get taken to Mexico. My sister also got to go. And then just last winter, not this winter that we're finally coming out of, but the winter previous, my dad was like, hey, I got an extra ticket to Mexico. You want to come? And I was like, yeah. So basically all I had to do was cover my breakfasts, because that's the one meal my dad doesn't eat. He's like, any other meal that I go out to eat, you get to come along and I'll pay for you. It's such a great time. Some collection of my family members are always there. I love both sides of my family, but my personality is derived primarily from my dad's side of the family. And so events on my dad's side of the family are extra special to me because it's with people who feel the most like me at my core. And so there have just been all sorts of awesome memories made. For years, I would hear stories about my dad being surfing out in front of the hotel, and the waves break kind of tricky out that way. And if you're not careful and you don't know how to run towards them at the right time or stay back from them, you can get pretty messed up. Or if you don't know how big of a wave is too big, you can get just wrecked by it. I heard all these stories about him, about people coming up and trying to like watch what he's doing, and then we're a pretty friendly bunch, believe it or not. And so we'd always look out, they'd always look, hey, come on, we'll show you the ropes. And I'd hear all these stories of people not listening when my dad explicitly said, ooh, don't do this or do this, and just getting totally wrecked by the waves. On one or two rare occasions over the years, severe injury or death. Only one death that I can recall, but like, you want to listen because the waves are no joke. Water is heavy. And my first year down there, we get down there and I'm learning the ropes, and this one wave comes up and he goes, one might be a little big. And I was like, I think I can handle it. And he was like, all right, man. And that thing picked me up, threw me to the ocean floor, which was basically right there because all the water was getting pulled up into the wave, and then dragged me along the bottom for like, I don't know, it felt like 100 feet. It probably wasn't, but it was a long time underwater, just getting flipped. Like I was just doing rolls like I was in a laundry machine along sand. And I came up, I didn't know what way was up. I didn't know what way was forward. I was so dazed. And my dad rides the next one in. He's like, man, you should have listened to me. And that was the moment where I was like, I don't believe any of the stories you've been telling me for years now. If that was explicit direction, you're full of it. And that was the moment I knew I hated Mexico. And then the next day I tried again. I got in the water and I was like, oh, this is magical. And I completely changed my mind immediately. And it's been great ever since. Other awesome family moments. Both of my uncles were out just on their own catching waves. And they're not the more experienced boogie boarders of the group. And so this one wave came up. And one uncle turns to the other and goes, ooh, what do you think? And the other uncle goes, I think it's safe. I think it's rideable. So the first uncle catches the wave, or both of them start to catch the wave. And at the last moment, like the moment of no return, the uncle who said it was safe goes, if you're into that sort of thing, and pulls out of the wave and watches his brother just get totally wrecked. He just did it to him on purpose. And then later that night, we're sitting around the table, and the brother who got destroyed takes a bite of the salsa. And the brother who screwed him over was like, hey, is that how spicy is that? And he was like, oh, not bad at all. And he waits till the chip is in the air headed towards, his brother's mouth. And he goes, if you're into that sort of thing. And that's just become a family tradition, is mess with people that way. Just like leading them right into total devastation. And at the last moment, letting them know, oh, you're about to be totally screwed. And my family shows affection through teasing. So for all you people going, they're all psychopaths. You're right.
It's true.
But we interpret it as love. So
I don't know if that's better or worse.
I don't either. I love it. And I could spend what feels like an eternity down in Mexico. Great food, both in the tourist town and the real people town. Incredible food, incredible sights, incredible places. Oh, man, it is one of the most peaceful places I've ever been. It is just incredibly cool atmosphere. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
What's your go-to dish?
I'm a big, enchiladas and quesadillas tend to be my go-tos, but there's a place down there called Ruben's Hamburgers that I'll go to 2 or 3 times in a week if I get my pick. They got just a solid burger. This is interesting. I don't know if it's an international thing or if it's just Mexico, but instead of lettuce, they'll put like a dry coleslaw on their burgers. I don't really like coleslaw.
So cabbage?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, it's like cabbage and like shredded carrots and like just a collection of crunchy things, but it adds a lot to the burger, and I'm a big fan there. So I actually, this last time we were down there, I tried a burger everywhere we went that had a burger, or at least other people would try a burger, and I'd have them give me a bite just to and just started ranking burger places. Weirdly enough, there's a French place. My grandparents took me for breakfast. They were like, hey, we want to take you to the French place for breakfast on the last day. And I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And oh my goodness, the atmosphere there. And the food, I didn't have toast, but I had a chocolate croissant that absolutely knocked my socks off, man. It was so good. I don't think my dad likes it. That's another one where experiencing it myself affected my understanding of the area, where my dad was like, yeah, the French place is a waste of money. That might just be that my dad is frugal and the French place is expensive, because that food was so good. I still dream about the French place on a regular basis.
Do you at least have some fries? Do you have anything French there?
Ew, dude. Ew.
Both of those, I think, were made in New York, I believe.
Get out of the Dakota, bro. You got to get out of the Dakotas.
You want cultured swine?
You want cultured Taco John swine? Gosh.
All right, Lou, why don't you bring us on home with your number one?
All right, my number one is New Orleans. I went there, New Orleans. I didn't get voodoo though, so that was good.
That's good.
Or
I don't know.
so
if
you
that's,
think.
So I think. I don't know. Yeah, my one toe is bigger than the other now. But
Ooh,
I
that
don't know.
giveaway.
I must that giveaway. Yeah, so I went to New Orleans, I think in 2015 for a mission trip, and it was just one of the coolest mission trips I've ever done. And when you go down there, if you've ever been down to New Orleans, there's a road that just enters into New Orleans, and it is just magical. It's something special. I might have been sleep deprived because it takes like 21 hours to get down there, but when I was going down there, it felt special. And I've never went into a city and thought like, oh, this place is a special place. It was amazing. Though I met my wife there. We were on the same work site, and I won't go too much into detail because I feel like at some point we'll talk about this in a different podcast. But the people there are awesome. The French Quarter, I think, is a must go to. I feel sorry for people who've never experienced it.
Did you get do you get the toast and fries there at least? Unlike Michael?
I did not get the toast and fries. I did get the beignets from Cafe du Monde. Yeah,
Oui.
you gotta love those French, and those were amazing. There's a crazy picture. Apparently, juniors and seniors, it's during spring break, and the tradition is that all the underclassmen get sprayed in the face with powdered sugar, and I didn't know that.
You put it on the toast, not on people. My goodness.
Why the you keep saying toast? You're making my asshole tight.
Whoa.
Good to know that the level of maturity has stayed consistent over the last 3 days.
Good lord.
No one's done any growing in the last 72 hours.
No, I haven't. Beautiful time. I went to down Bourbon Street, and that was the scariest thing. I've walked down the streets of Detroit by myself and with crazy white people, and going down Bourbon Street was one of the scariest things I've ever done, because during the daytime it's just beautiful. Everybody's happy, and there's like street performers. But as soon as it gets dark, which I experienced it halfway, all the crazies come out, and all the bouncers, what they'll do is they'll stand in the middle of the road and try to force you into their clubs. And I was deathly afraid. I thought I was going to get
19, please.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is super scary. I read the crime rate in this place, and that is gnarly. And yeah, I do not recommend. I took a picture with a couple friends, and I decided to lay on the floor in New Orleans.
Where in New Orleans? I'm sorry.
In the French Quarter, not down Bourbon Street, but in the French Quarter.
Still doesn't seem like a good idea, but
No.
I suppose.
I smelled every bodily smell, all concoct into one whiff. That was the nastiest. That was one of the nastiest things I've ever done. I do not recommend it. Do not lay on the floor on French Quarter.
So what you're saying is, no matter what age you are, if you're in Bourbon Street, as soon as you see the streetlights turn on, it's time to go home.
It is time to go home. Pick up your beads and pick up your beignets and get out.
How'd you get your beads?
Yeah, Lou, what'd you do? Your butthole was clenched? Is that?
I didn't think you'd keep that on the pod, but now I feel like you have to. No, I didn't do anything crazy. They just give them out. You don't have to show your tits.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Top Podcast. Despite the technical issues, if you're watching on YouTube, please give us a like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us a 5-star review and leave a comment down below and we'll read it. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll catch you next time.